Hey folks, it's William with All Solar Texas. On episode 3 of our podcast, Your Texas Solar Expert, we're going to be looking at a new affordable and reliable option in home backup batteries. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. All right, thanks for joining the channel, but before we dive in, please make sure to tap on that subscribe button and don't forget to click on that notification bell. That keeps you up to date with all the latest energy news that we produce here on the channel, and it helps us out a little bit with YouTube as well. Lastly, don't forget to reach out, give us a call, send us an email, check out our website. We love hearing from customers, and whether or not you're an existing solar customer and you just have questions about how your system's working, or if you're a potential solar customer and you're just looking to get a fair deal and be treated properly, give us a call. We respond quickly and we can't wait to hear from you. All right, today we have a special guest for you, Ahmad, who's with Storz Power. It's an amazing company, and so I wanted to give you an opportunity. Ahmad, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your time. Let's just start off by giving us some background information on kind of who you are, what your experience in the industry, and tell us a little bit about, the product and service.
Thank you so much, William. I'm super excited to be reaching out to the greater population at large on YouTube, searching for answers, and through your channel. Really commend you for all the time and resources that you're providing people, because it's a vast world out there. And after being in the solar industry for 9 years myself, I was interested, just like everyone else is at the very beginning, about feeling connected to renewable energy. I have mountains in the background because I came from the ski industry and I just appreciate the great outdoors. I wanted to do something that was going to be, beneficial for the environment and within, my science and technology interests growing up. So that's what led me into things. And now we're here 9 years later. So I'm happy to be landed with a battery company, because for me, that's really the epitome of why people go solar, so that they can have that energy independence.
Excellent, and that's what our channel is all about. It's about helping people find energy independence. It's about helping customers protect their power against the rising and inflated costs of utility bills, as well as the unreliability, as you know, of the grid. And so why don't you unpack for our customers a little bit about what are the products and services that your company provides, and maybe give us a little bit of background on your company itself.
Absolutely. So you'll notice in the little hexagon in our logo, there's the 2 letters AI. And that's because we come from an AI controls background, which is largely used in commercial applications. We need to control the way that the building uses power. And so we're actually an AI company first and a battery company second, because the reason for that being is that a battery or an inverter is kind of a dumb device. And it's no discredit, we all need that technology, but in order to make it work best for us in the most efficient way, we need to control that with a software layer. So we use AI across all 3 levels of a system, which is at the battery level, at the inverter level, which is monitoring solar, battery state of charge, the load demand in the house itself. And then we also use artificial intelligence to make decisions within the home, to make those demand controlled decisions that normally only exist at large commercial buildings. And we provide that level of intelligence, which is really necessary at the home, especially when adding energy storage.
And that's really what I like about your product. There's so many different products on the market, right? We have Tesla Power power walls, we have Generac power cells, we have Enphase. So what makes your product unique in a very kind of crowded market right now of solar backup batteries?
So we actually were an OEM lithium battery supplier first, before we got into offering and making a residential battery. And knowing the background of lithium and seeing some of the problems that it's been subject to having with larger applications, we hear of thermal meltdowns and fires and some of these problems. We were one of the first to come out with a lithium iron phosphate residential battery. And now we've seen some of these larger manufacturers follow suit. Generac and some of these other manufacturers are now offering, even Tesla with their new Powerwall Plus, a lithium iron phosphate battery, because it's a more stable chemistry. We don't need the 0 to 60 mile an hour type of discharge that you need in a vehicle. We don't need that in a house. And so we can offer a more stable chemistry that has more cycle life and more longevity. And that's one of the main things that sets us still apart from a lot of the competition that are offering lithium ion. There was just a big recall with LG. If you had a Chevy Volt within a certain radius of your property, that was a liability, recalling all kinds of batteries. So we've never had that problem, and we pride ourselves on safety first, and that's one of our pillars of what makes us different. And then in addition to that, having a modular system where we have a battery and an inverter separate allows for a lot more expandability and a lot more load output and satisfying what people's expectations are, which is how to design something that's going to meet their needs. And everyone has varying needs that are different. So some people are looking to take, a very large property completely off grid. Other people just have a modest expectation of what they want to power when there's a grid outage or if it's in an off-grid scenario. So we offer the flexibility because we separate the battery capacity, which is time, and the inverter output, which is load. And I always like to give this analogy of likening the architecture of the system to a car, because everyone understands cars, right? And so batteries, the kilowatt hour rating of your battery, that's your gas tank. So how big your gas tank is determines how far you're going to be able to drive based on how much you're using the power, right? So the inverter is the engine or the torque. So if you need to tow a semi truck across, a mile stretch of road uphill, that's the equivalent of, starting an air conditioner and charging an EV. You're towing a heavy load, right? So the inverter is the engine, the torque. What the drivetrain is really where we separate ourselves out the most from the market, which is smart access. So the smart access controller is what takes that gas tank and the engine and gives it all-wheel drive. So it's going to send power to where it's needed in any given moment. So that's the biggest aha moment that we talk to people about when they understand how we're able to build a smarter battery and not a bigger battery.
So most of my customers will come to me with questions about batteries because they're considering going off grid, but there's a lot of misconceptions about what does it take to go off grid versus what does it take to stay grid tied and then just have some backup power. So can you break down for some of our viewers what's really the difference between going completely off grid versus staying grid tied and using backup battery power as a source of emergency backup?
Important thing to understand is, what does a real life scenario look like? Because for a lot of people, let's say in California, for example, there's incremental power outages throughout a season or throughout a week where the power is out for a number of hours or maybe a few days tops. And people can survive a couple of days without, doing their laundry, for example. So that's the biggest differentiator, is when you're grid tied, you only need essential loads for the most part to be able to get you through these incremental hiccups in power, or just to be able to offset like a time of use window where the utility company wants to charge you a bunch of money as soon as the sun goes down. We want to be able to discharge those batteries just during that window of time. Now, when you're off grid, you need to rely on the system to do 100% of all of your needs, all of your loads of laundry, all of your hot water needs, and so on and so forth. So we don't have that grid reliability to turn some of those larger use systems off until the grid comes back on, or at minimum until there's good PV production coming off of the roof from solar and good state of charge in the batteries, so that we're doing these higher use activities at the appropriate time of day.
Thank you so much for breaking that down. Like I said, that truly is one of the most common questions that we get from customers. There's also a lot of folks that are do-it-yourselfers, right? And I love do-it-yourself type people. I'm a do-it-yourselfer, right? If it's something I can do for myself versus, going through Yelp or going through Google, trying to find someone, to do it, knowing that you're gonna, pay that premium to have someone that is a professional do it. I like to do a lot of projects around the house myself. So I get the do-it-yourself mentality, and we have a lot of do-it-yourselfers that will call me and say, why would I go with an installer? Why would I go and call someone like you to have my system installed and priced out when I could just go online and find a battery and just do it myself? So I kind of want to break down some of what that looks like. So could you kind of talk to us about, that consumer mentality? If I'm a do-it-yourself kind of person, right? why wouldn't I just call you directly and get you to drop ship that battery to my house, and then I'll just figure out how to install it myself?
We have so much respect for the people that have innovated and evolved home energy storage because of the do-it-yourselfer movement. I actually worked with one installer in Hawaii, and the gentleman that started the company had figured out how to install solar himself. He didn't really come from technical background. His family owns real estate brokerages, but he was a smart guy, figured out how to install solar. He did his family's 5 homes, and then he converted a Chevy S10 pickup truck into an electric vehicle. So, I have to say hats off for people that are able to do that, because we wouldn't be where we are today without that type of spirit, right? And there are products that are on the market that totally empower a homeowner to do that. And what we find is that they're not going to have the warranty and the service that is provided when there's a narrow error of constraint for margin of errors, when we're able to train a contractor network and able to certify, which we do, all of our installers. We've certified and interacted with up to 500, even 2,000 companies when you add in all the commercial accounts that we've been able to be involved in. So we're able to offer the do-it-yourselfer a much broader scope of warranty and service and support just by tapping into our installer network. And I'd like to say that we have a nice hybrid approach, because somebody can go on our website and do manufacturer-based research and talk to us directly and make that decision for themselves, no matter which contractor they choose to work with. And we can then turn them back through our contractor database to interview different installers and ultimately, lead more of that buying experience that somebody might not be able to really have that level of insight if they just talk to 1 or 2 local installers, because there's a big range of products out there. And I really encourage the do-it-yourself mentality that wants to go and dig a little deeper and find, companies like us. We're an emerging company in energy storage, but we're the top 5 most attached batteries in one of the biggest finance platforms last year. Energy Tech Review named us top 10 most innovative and best battery systems on the market last year. So we're at that level, right at that threshold where we can't sell to homeowners. We offer a 15-year, 8,000 cycle warranty on the performance of our batteries. And in order to ensure that, we need to work only with certified, approved contractors.
Yeah, you brought up a very good point. It's a distinctive factor in your product versus just about all the other products on the market right now, which is a 15-year warranty. So for those of you watching the channel, do your homework, do your research. This is a very unique type warranty. And as a homeowner, if you're looking at a product that may be in a similar price range, but it only provides a 10-year warranty versus a 15-year warranty, this really is a game changer. So can you talk through kind of your warranty a little bit and kind of let customers know what's included within that warranty and kind of how does that work?
We encourage everyone to go on our website and register for our portal. All the warranty documentation, install manuals, everything's all there. I'd like to say that we give every piece of information for a do-it-yourselfer to go install our system. But because we give all that information, they find out quickly why they'd rather have an expert do it than for them. And I actually just took a call today of an exact situation like that. But for the warranty itself, there's 2 levels to it. There's a 10-year product warranty, and that covers the battery management system. So each 5 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate battery cell has a computer chip across behind the faceplate, and that's the battery management system. So it has its own onboard AI-enabled computer that's going to optimize the charge and the discharge of each individual battery. Now, if that goes out or needs to be replaced at any time between year 0 and 10, we're going to take care of it. If it's after year 10, it's only a couple $100 piece of equipment where you're just removing the faceplate of the battery, swapping out, plugging in a couple of ribbons and putting it back together. So most do-it-yourselfers could actually manage that type of battery management system swap. And the chemistry of the battery and actually the charge life and the depth of charge and charge discharge rates, that's what we warranty for 15 years, where by year 15, you're still getting 80% of the life of that battery.
Man, that is incredible That really is a wonderful aspect of your product that I really do believe is above and beyond what we're seeing in the average, battery that's available on the market today. I heard you mention commercial. We do have a lot of commercial viewers, business owners, whether or not they have a large business with a warehouse or a building, or if they have kind of like a mom and pop type shop, or if they even, kind of work out of their home. So what would you say is some of the, key distinctions between a residential kind of battery setup and a commercial battery setup? And it sounds like you're built to handle commercial. So what does that look like a little bit?
So we are one of the only residential inverters that also is compatible with three-phase 208 right within the same platform. So it doesn't need any other hardware augmentation. It's just how the wiring is configured. And we're able to support up to a 600 amp main service of continuous output. And that's done by stacking up to 12 of our 12K inverters. So when you look at most light commercial and industrial facilities, they're using some amount of three-phase 208 at either a 400 or a 600 amp service. And because we can stack 14 batteries in parallel per inverter, we can go up to 70 kilowatt hours of energy storage per inverter, which translates up to 860 kilowatt hours of storage across that entire spectrum of what can be done. So that satisfies a lot of commercial needs, especially with what they're looking to do with having critical systems on backup in the event of a power outage. Oftentimes we can turn off a lot of the air handler units or rooftop units in the event of a power outage, and we can provide still critical systems that are running on three-phase 208 so that you can run a portion of those HVAC units or the other usable necessities within the facility. And a lot of the American commercial business is at that 600 amp service and below, where I wouldn't call that industrial, right? That's commercial, mid-commercial size. And then once you get into the industrial scale, that's when you're looking at a whole different class of battery. So that's where we would translate out into our referral network and still consult on some of those types of projects where, we wouldn't shy away from like big utility scale project, but it would just be a different scope and a different product mix.
Somewhere in the percentage of like the high 90% is small business here in Texas. And so if you are a business owner or, are thinking of owning a business, you're going to fall within that range. So that kind of pivots us to a question about affordability, right? One of the, I would say probably misconceptions that's out there is that I can't afford batteries. They're so expensive. Now we know batteries are more expensive than, let's say, a standard backup generator. But for the average homeowner and maybe the small business owner, can you break down a little bit, like what are some of those costs that are involved? And is it even affordable at this point, given the stage that we're at, which is very much an infancy stage in battery development?
There's a lot of layers to that. And I would encourage people to look at their own individual situation to see, what they're willing to justify. Because without sugarcoating it, a battery system that's going to run most of your house could very well double the cost of your solar investment. The main difference is people spend $50 to even over $100 a month on home security systems that don't work when the power goes out. Maybe they have some batteries on board, they're going to work for a few hours. But when I look at what people are spending on other insurance policies and home security systems, if you were to examine the massive lifestyle shift that happens when you have a home-based battery, for us, that's true security. So we like to look at it as, it's not necessarily return on investment from a monetary standpoint. It's a return on a quality of life investment. And really that's a priceless quality for most people that allows them to justify adding a battery. And, batteries have been under development for a long, long time. Every cell phone battery is running on, very high-tech lithium technology. So in terms of what's driving R&D, it's not residential solar. Residential solar and energy storage is benefiting from the R&D that's already been done in the industry. And now that's why at the utility scale, solar and energy storage is now cheaper than coal contracts. So now you have investor-owned utilities that are just have a fiduciary responsibility to purchase their energy over the next 20 years from solar and batteries. Now, at the residential level, you still have a tax credit. When you pair batteries with at least 1 kilowatt of solar, you qualify that entire system for the 26% tax credit. Next year is 22%. And there's a lot of creative finance products as well that can really lower the monthly payment so that you can look at the cost per month at adding an energy storage system more like a home security plan.
Yeah, and great point bringing up the 26% federal tax credit, because if I'm a homeowner and I've been thinking about installing a battery, but am not quite sure, maybe the price point I'm kind of hung up on, really now is the time to install that battery. Now is the time to install that solar system, because that 26% federal tax credit is going to be more expensive technically next year because you're not getting that full tax credit. It's going down that 22%, which brings me to probably a pretty common scenario where we have homeowners that have already installed own solar on their roof. So they have panels up there already and they've been thinking about adding a battery. And so what makes your product unique in terms of its ability to integrate with an existing solar system that's already installed? How does that work?
This is what we're really excited about, because the battery that you see here on the screen, that's just part of the equation. The other part is that inverter, that separate piece of equipment that we call our hybrid AI-enabled inverter. So it's running on our AI software, and it's able to manage the state of charge of the battery, the utility market that the person is in, whether they're on grid or off grid, and they want to be, insulated from the rising rates of utility tariffs and all of that. And that inverter is going to be able to plug into a generator if they want to use that type of system. But if they have an existing solar array, we take the AC output of that existing solar inverter. Doesn't matter if it's Enphase, SolarEdge, ABP, systems, any kind of string or microinverter, as long as it's within 10 years old, we can plug up to 9.6 kilowatts AC right into one of our hybrid inverters. And if they have a bigger system than 9.6, we just add a second inverter, and we can then take on all of that AC output from the existing solar without changing any of the panels. And what's even cooler is that we can AC and DC couple simultaneously. So if somebody has a SolarEdge 7600, we can onboard that inverter. And because we can go up to 13 kilowatts on our 12K inverter, we can onboard another 4.4 kilowatts of DC power and bring those in simultaneously. And it's going to be able to manage both of those loads. We've even onboarded wind. I joked with somebody the other day. I said, if you want to get an exercise bike and convert that to a generator and go pedal that thing outside and plug it into your inverter, we could take that power as well.
All right, that's a really great point there. So kind of some of the last questions that I have for you. Our customers like monitoring. They like being able to have access to their system through their mobile phone or maybe through a portal online. So does your product offer any type of monitoring, and what does that look like? And is there a cost to it?
Super great question. We are, being that we're an AI software company, we're doing a lot of API integrations with smart vehicle charging, other smart home devices. We have some really great technology that's coming out this year, and we'll be able to plug into any of our previously existing systems that will be taking on the solar monitoring apps and your EV charging profile and a lot of other thermostat controls, and bringing it into one central app. So as of right now, we have a really great, robust app that monitors solar production, grid use, state of charge of the batteries, and the overall architecture of the system with graphs and all that stuff. We don't charge for any of that. It comes standard with the hardware, and we help each one of our systems being commissioned get all of those applications. And that also allows the installer network that we support the ability to share those accounts with us in the event that they need technical support. And we're able to log on and change inverter settings if they maybe didn't select the right utility company tariff, and all kinds of things that we're able to have insight in and really streamline the technical support calls and unnecessary truck rolls to the house that people have been kind of used to paying additional costs for. We're really able to use software to that advantage to streamline the way that we're able to support all of our installs that exist in the field.
Well, thank you so much for being willing to come on the channel. I really have a lot of excitement about your product. So if I'm a customer and I'm really interested in your product or maybe learning more, where do I go? Maybe I just want to learn more information about it, maybe see some specifications, or maybe I want to actually get a quote and see what it would look like to get that system sized appropriately for my home and then get it installed. So where would I go if I'm a customer that's looking to kind of ask more questions or get more information?
We like to really be transparent, which is why we put so much energy into our website and made it accessible for anyone to go onto our portal, as I mentioned earlier, and look at all the spec sheets and install manuals, and even look at the same installer training that we help to train our installer network with. On that website, there's on the products tab, the ability to go through a sizing exercise and size the system based on the amount of amps that you want to run in the event of a power outage. We have a lot of people that go through that tool and they come back to us knowing exactly the system size that they think they need. We verify that with them. They click the request to get a quote. We have a quick conversation with them, and then we recommend an installer, a contractor in their region who's ultimately going to go through looking at the system, looking at their unique individual home's necessities, and be able to finish the quoting process, really because every individual situation is so different. In order to finalize the quote after talking to us, then we connect you with an installer or local contractor who's trained and certified on our platform. And so we ask for everyone's patience, and can assist people in the process by talking to us first and answering a lot of questions. The contractors we work with love that, because by the time we refer you to them, you're already pretty well educated, and they don't have to spend a lot of their time because they're super busy installing batteries in the field every day.
And the short answer, if you're in Texas, give All Solar Texas a call. We're super excited about this relationship. We're very confident in this product and what it could offer our residential and commercial customers. And so it's a product that we are just getting on board with. Definitely interested in getting you connected with this product. So Ahmad, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your time, and we look forward to continuing to have you on the podcast as you introduce new products and services in the future.
Absolutely, William. And just to echo what you just said, we're really happy to support, the enthusiasts and the people that are taking, this type of content to a really professional educational level. There's just not enough out there. And so hats off to you again for really putting out high quality information. And yeah, we totally back you up in making sure that everyone that you work with is trained and certified, so that when people go through this process of seeing if Storz Power is going to be a good fit for them, or just understanding energy storage in general, that they know that you've been working with us closely. And we like to take a very level-headed approach to training and information. And you'll see that if you ever encounter one of our trainings online, where we just lay it out there plain and simple. Here's what an Enphase battery produces. Here's what a Tesla produces, and a lot of other battery options, so that we want to empower people to make the right decision for them in the way that is most agreeable. So with that said, thank you so much for all the listeners and viewers, and make sure that you subscribe to this awesome channel. I know we will be, and looking forward to the future content that you put out there.
All right, folks, that about wraps it up for today. But before you take off, please make sure to drop us a comment below and let us know if you have any other questions about home backup power or home backup battery systems. We reference those questions in future videos, and so if you want to see some additional content or hear from some additional folks, just let us know. Lastly, give us a call, reach out, email us. We are here for you, and we can't wait to hear from you. So thank you so much. God bless.